Hello and welcome to the Claret and Blue podcast. This is our fan zone preview show as we look ahead to Leeds United, our first 3 o'clock Saturday home match for over a year, John. Can you believe it?
Yeah, it's gonna feel a little bit strange. If we get in the Champions League for next season, we'll have many more Saturday games, won't we? Because the
Sunday's Europe, yeah.
So many, and if we make it all the way to the final of the Europa League, it's going to be lots of Sunday games. Would I rather Sunday games? I don't mind Sunday games, to be honest. I quite like to spectate the Saturday games just from the comfort of my own home and see what's going on around the grounds and around the divisions. But on a Saturday 3 p.m, you kind of feel like a bit lost.
What's your favourite kickoff time?
Great question. Saturday 3 p.m. I don't know. You know what? I said the only thing about the Sundays is that you usually miss the best game of the weekend when it's a 4:30.
Yeah.
Usually miss that, but
I would.
Yeah, I was going to say, I probably would take the 4:30 Sunday slot.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's get into this then. We've only got 2 comments from the fan zone. We did a Q&A last night where we used non-specific Leeds questions to do a Q&A. The Leeds specific ones are things that are, say, obvious. How important is the game? What's the team use? Are effectively the questions. The things that we're going to talk about anyway. I think for this show to stand up on its own, we need opinions about the game rather than questions for us. What do you think about it? Are you nervous? Are you worried? Yeah. You know, that kind of vibe. So we'll start with River Costello, who says, not sure enough is being made of how important this Leeds game is. For me, with the fixtures coming up, Leeds and Wolves are absolute must-win, but especially Leeds, because I think it sets the precedent for the Wolves game. I'd like to hear if you guys agree and think it's as important as I do. Plus, I'd go as far to say that I think so far it's our top 3 most important game of the season. Up the Villa, love the pod. We spoke about the most important game of the season a few weeks ago, didn't we? Like, it's the next one.
Yeah.
And this weekend, this is very important, this game. And if we win it, Wolves will also be very important out of nowhere. And then the game after that will also be very important.
It's not lost on me, the importance of the game. I don't know. Maybe because it's, again, we've had no midweek match that we saw. I don't know if people zone out of Villa a little bit. I mean, obviously we don't. But I don't know if that's the thing. And then into Thursday and Friday, people start to think, you know what, that Leeds game is pretty important. I don't know.
Maybe.
But I said before the Brighton match, actually. So we drew to Bournemouth right away from home in the league and then beat Brighton, I'm pretty sure. But before the Brighton game, I think a lot of people were saying, you know, these 3 games are really important. It's a minimum of 7 points. For me, it's a minimum of 9. I think you have to win all of them, all 3 of them. We've got one win in the bag. Leeds, I think, will be a very difficult game. I really do. I'll mention some stats that Opta have sent me shortly, which sort of discuss that point. But Leeds have improved, but they're still, 6 points away from the drop zone. That's a game that you need to win as well. And Wolves are, although they came back against Arsenal, again, won't be easy, but a game that you need to win. So for me, 9 points was the figure that we had to aim for, and we're a third of the way through that. So yeah, absolutely an important match. And I say this without talking about teams behind us and the fact that we could momentarily move so many points away from Man United, who play Everton on the Monday. Oh, I mean, I haven't mentioned it. I'm now talking about it. Chelsea play at home to Burnley. The main thing is that we know the wins that we need. We go on about it all the time. From now, it's around 6 wins. If we win the next 2, then it goes down to 4 wins out of 10, which is very manageable.
If Villa turn up and play to the best of their ability, they should win these games. Like, that's not an arrogant, cocky thing to suggest that Villa... I don't even know why I need to clarify this. Villa are better than Leeds and Wolves, of course, they are, because of where they are in the league. Yeah. But you can absolutely slip up in games, as everybody can, as Arsenal did last night as we record this. You can't allow that to happen when Villa have got an opportunity kind of within touching distance, like you say. If you win these 2, it's then 4 from 10. That feels very doable, almost to the point where you can have a little bit of a focus on the Europa League, kind of park that to one side. If Villa play well, which it's on them to do, and then put a break down a low block or whatever it is, go and do it then.
Yeah, if we play well, we'll win the games. I agree. But it's to what point do Leeds allow us to play well, you know? Because obviously they're not going to... They've got so much to fight for themselves. Again, 6... I actually thought they were kind of further away from West Ham than that. So, yeah, they know that one game that they don't win, the odds are that West Ham may, because they're on a really strong run of form. But Leeds themselves, away from home, They don't win many games on the road. In fact, they've only won 2 away games all season, and that's in all competition. So 1 away win all season in the league, which is against Wolves. That was at the start of the season, back in September. That was 3-1. However, they also don't lose many of late away from home. So since the 14th of December, so in the last 8 games, in the last 8 games that they played away from home, they've only lost 1 game, and that was at Newcastle 4-3. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a really late. That was a late show, wasn't it, by Newcastle? I think that was when we beat Brighton. And then also, since the start of December, only Man City and Man United have lost fewer league games than Leeds. So I presume that's at home and away. Since the start of December, Leeds have only lost twice. They've also had the most draws in that time frame too, which is 7. I don't want to say no good, but no one's taking a draw against Leeds, are they, on Saturday? You're not, unless 80th minute you're 2-0 down. But before the game, no one's thinking in that way of, a point would be a good result. I don't know. You need to get over the line here now, Villa. I just think this point of the season, weird things happen. They really do. Like, we've been the culprit of this a few times. Even when we were scrapping relegation, you'd get a result somewhere that you don't expect to, because you are fighting tooth and nail, and it really does matter now. For Leeds' part, they are probably, 3 or 4 wins away from staying up. And they'll be ticking off every single game thinking, well, we can be 1 step closer to staying in the league. And that for them is absolutely everything.
Yeah, they've got 30 points. So another 9 or 10, and you think that'd be fine. So the 3 wins in 11 games or whatever it is, they would be looking at that as well. We think that's doable as well. And, going away to Villa Park isn't easy for anybody. But we haven't been great over the last couple of games there. So if there's ever a chance to try and beat Villa at home, it's now. So, it's not going to be easy at all.
We need to talk about, what's to come, because this, again, it's a pretty boring podcast if we just say Leeds will be a difficult game and log off. But at the same time, it really is taking it game by game, like half by half. We are at that point now where we can see the finish line in the distance, and we know what we need to do to get there. Whereas the teams behind us, they're the ones who are chasing. They're the ones who have pressure when you play, Everton away, for example. I think United probably will win there because Everton don't have a good record at home. And I think Chelsea will beat Burnley at home because they're playing Burnley at home. But at the same time, we've seen how Chelsea have had the jitters with a bit of pressure. For example, Leeds, they were 2-0 up, I think, Chelsea, weren't they? And I think me and you were texting actually at the time, and turn around and it's somehow 2-2. Which is crazy. But yeah, just quickly looking at Leeds' away results, like they played some difficult teams as well. So they drew at Brentford back in December. They drew at Sunderland in December. They drew 0-0 against Liverpool on the 1st of January. Again, they've scored 3 times at Newcastle and lost that game pretty unluckily in the end. They've obviously come from behind to draw against Chelsea. So it's got all the makings of a game where if Villa don't or aren't up for the fight and the battle, I think we will get found out, and I don't think we'll win the game. So it's up to us.
You mentioned Burnley and Everton, and you think that Man United and Chelsea will both get the points required. I actually think the opposite. And maybe I'm just saying this so I can potentially clip it up on Monday night and look clever. I think Villa win. I think Chelsea, Burnley as a draw. And I think Everton beat United. I don't know why. I hope you're right. Absolutely. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? I feel like Everton, Man United throw up weird, good games, and Everton seem to play well in those fixtures for some reason. That might be completely wrong, but that's how I picture those two clubs going at it. That Everton come out on top sometimes.
Yeah, possibly. No. Yeah, but it's just the Hill Dicko. I don't think they had some good results there recently. They got done by Newcastle, didn't they, and by Brentford. I think Grealish is out, and I don't know. And again, it doesn't matter if we beat. Or you know what? Even if we, I know I've said what I've said previously, and even if we don't beat Leeds, we still know the target. It's still in our hands. It's okay. It's just that you don't want to be going to Old Trafford either behind United or with a chance of them going above you. It's just not a nice feeling. I think that's when the pressure would get to us a little bit.
I was just reading through Man United v Everton fixture history just to confirm or deny my point. Firstly, Everton won at Old Trafford this season, so can do the double on Monday.
That was 10 minutes.
Granted, this is Goodison Park, obviously. Going back to 2015, Everton have only lost 3 home games against Man United. So pretty good record over the course of a decade.
Yeah.
Is that relevant? Probably not. But the feeling I had in mind that Everton and Man United have decent games is true.
Yeah, Everton have lost 5 of the last 9 Premier League home games, as many as they had in the previous 28, just to balance you out a bit.
Oh, well, back to Villa. Let's go to the second comment from the mailbag from Tactics Tim, who says, my gut feeling is the Leeds and Wolves games go a long way to make or break our top 5 challenge. Agree. What are your tactical thoughts? Keep it brief, John. On. And there's 4 here, so we're going to rattle through all of them. You got a minute or so for each one. Okay. Pau versus Mings.
I would choose. I don't know. This is difficult already. I would always say Pow at home, just because of his progression, and especially without Tielemans. I do think we missed it against Brighton, but then Mings comes up with the, I'll give it him anyway. He comes up with the goal essentially to win that game. Of course, Calvert-Lewin is a big strength for Leeds. Daniel Farke is doing his press conference like literally, I think, right now when we're talking, which is a bit annoying.
But Leeds website.
They may be without Nemecha, and I think Stack might be back for them. But yeah, just for Villa, I would say Powell.
Next little tactical question was Barkley. Should he start over Louise, who looks wobbly, or play further forward to give us more control in the middle?
I'm happy with Barkley coming off the bench, to be fair. I actually think that works quite nicely to either bring control or add a different dimension to us. So
yeah, I agree.
I'm happy with that. And I also think Luis has been okay. I couldn't have expected anything more from him. Yeah, I imagined we'd been in this sort of dire injury situation. So I think we're coping with it pretty well, to be fair. I think any other team, especially if it wasn't in the window as well, of course, we have to say, but any other team I think would be struggling badly. And yeah, it's not ideal, but I think Luis has been okay. I can't really fault him too much.
Bailey, does he add a new dimension we sorely lack otherwise, or is he too erratic?
I think he does add another dimension, because I said this a lot.
You've always liked him, haven't you? You've said this before when we didn't have him, that he offers something different.
He does, yeah. And I think it's so... Well. Yeah, I just think it's so... I think it's so easy to look at him and see, the attack's slowed down or something like that. And yeah, those things can be frustrating, but I want my winger, especially in the balance that we have in the team, to stand his man up, and there's runners off him, and there's space created by him. There's an overlap opportunity if needed. Bailey's always going to try and be positive when he does cut onto his left side as well, whether that's a pass inside. We've seen him nearly get an assist for Tammy, which would have made it 2-0 against Newcastle, had Malik Chow not made that strong block. Yeah, Bailey isn't the player that he was 2 years ago, but I just think his function in the team is really valuable. And I was surprised when I asked Emery, actually, back in January, I think I said this on the podcast, that he almost interrupted my question about him and said, no, the plan is for him to stay there. And I just thought at the time, like, why? We need numbers. I think we could do with this profile of player again.
Saying you know more than Emery?
No, but Emery in the end made this decision, so I don't know, maybe he was lying to me. I have no idea. Maybe it's some sort of negotiation that was going on. But I just think it works for us. I'm not saying he needs to start against Leeds. In fact, I think Sancho would probably get the nod.
Agreed.
But if Bailey starts, I'm okay with it. The level that he showed in that season was superb, and that is the only season that he's had of real quality for Villa. But we did see it. It did happen. It wasn't AI. Like, he's got it in him to do it. He just needs confidence, I think. And coming back to the club, I think he probably knows, similar to Louise, what he had. This is a much longer answer than 60 seconds. But yeah, I like Bailey. I think he does get a lot of, at times, criticism absolutely is warranted, but maybe some unfair criticism as well.
You won't do the next one in 60 seconds, and that's absolutely fine. I asked you on Monday who plays against Leeds, Tammy or Watkins, in a word. You went with Tammy. Are you sticking with that? And you can now expand beyond a word here?
I won't be too long. I am, for two different reasons. Firstly, if I'm not playing Mings, then Tammy probably would be a strong addition to defend those Ethan Ampadu throw-ins for a start. But we have to also look, positively and offensively, that the guy has scored, in my book anyway, 2 goals in his first 2 starts, I think, especially his first 2 home games that he started. So obviously the first one didn't count, but he's still done the act of scoring for me. And frankly, I think it would send a good message as well to Ollie Watkins. I think maybe even in the long run, if Abraham starts this match, does that send the right message to Watkins that actually he has got a fight on his hands? And I know he probably does think that, but at the same time, if he starts again against Leeds and starts against Wolves but doesn't score, then maybe that sends the wrong message, because Tammy will be thinking, well, I probably deserve a start here. And Watkins is probably thinking again at the same time, like, I'm a bit comfortable maybe, even if he's playing and not sort of doing the business. And I think I am with a few other people, kind of, captain of the Watkins club, that he does so much more than just score goals. And I really do think that's an underrated part of his game that a lot of people can overlook and do overlook. But equally, I've been impressed with what Tammy has given us off the ball. Yeah. Obviously, this is up to Emery, as is all of the decisions of who starts the game. It's nothing to do with me. But I think it's a really interesting call, and I would stick with Tammy for this one, I think.
let's try and build out the rest of the team then to end this episode. Daniel Farke's press conference is 1:30. It's 1:27 as we record this. This episode will come out later on Thursday. That means it's also before Unai's. So maybe for how Unai picks the team is depending on who's maybe available for Leeds, and who he picks for the Villa team is dependent on maybe injury news that we aren't aware of as we record this. Hopefully there isn't anything untoward though. What do the rest of the team look like around some of the ones that we've already touched on a little bit?
Martinez in goal, obviously. Obviously, the big one here is Matty Cash. Will he be fit enough? Yeah, will he be fit enough to play? The question will obviously be asked of Unai. As of about Wednesday or so, that was in the balance still.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that he'll be okay, but again, we'll ask Emery, see what he says about it. He's never going to tell us, oh yes. Oh, I mean, he might tell us he's fit, or he might tell us that he's out. But the odds are he'll probably keep that close to his chest. I'm hoping that if he trains, he'll be fine to start.
Yeah.
And Villa will be pushing for that, of course, because especially having a week between this game and the nearly a week. Of course, it's the Friday night game, but having a decent, there's no midweek game, right? I'm hoping that Cash can be used at least for an hour against Leeds, because we do miss him, I think, quite a lot.
Yeah, agreed. If he's not Cash, what are we doing then? Is it Bogard still?
Yeah, I think it has to be Bogard. Yeah, he clearly, Garcia is not really in Emery's thinking, even though he had that injury for 3 or so weeks. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about before. He had a couple of injury problems as well, but he barely gets any game time, does he, Garcia? So I'd have thought Bogard would slot in a right back if not.
Lindelof, if we're going to be under the cosh from long balls and stuff, that you slot him in as a third centre back?
Maybe later in the game. I think you can see now Barkley and Lindelof coming into midfield, to be fair, if we are ahead and it's a close thing. So, yeah, I would say hopefully Cash right back, and then 2 centre halves of Konsa, Torres. But if it's Mings, no surprise for me if that's the case. And then I do think Maatsen should be left.
Got to be Maatsen. Yeah, got to be. Into midfield, Onana, Luiz.
For me, yeah.
As the 2. Sancho, Rogers, Buendia, Tammy.
That would be my prediction, yeah. What else have we got here? We've got Bailey and obviously Watkins.
We've got Bailey, Watkins on the bench, Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's someone else that I'm missing, I think. Are we missing someone else? We need something more for me on that left side. And it's not a criticism of Buendia necessarily, but I think it's too easy just to say, yeah, Buendia starts again for a player who is quite inconsistent. And he's had I feel like we've said this.
Sancho left, Bailey right.
Maybe, but I just think we're missing something there. You've got Sancho and Bailey, who are both, I've no idea what we're going to get on the day. Buendia is a bit of a flip of the coin. Sometimes he's brilliant. He can score winning goals and make real contributions, as he has. I think he's got the second most contributions of the team. But it's more, I think you want something nailed on. Rogers, you're probably going to get a good game out of him. I just think we're missing that. And yeah, McGinn is there, or he's not there this weekend, but is in the squad and usually would be someone you can count on. But then I just think in the summer we definitely need a bit more quality in that area.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, let's end with a score prediction then. I don't know whether you or any of the audience have noticed that we don't track these anymore. I just forgot. I forgot to keep tally of what we're doing in our little predictions league, and I thought if we don't even care about it, presumably no one else cares either. I don't know. We stopped tracking them in December because I forgot to fill in the document once.
Maybe there's
never went back to it.
Maybe there's like a claret and blue nerd out there who's
that's me.
keeping tabs.
It's my job to do that. And I just haven't. I don't know. Villa have to win. I said before, I don't care how they come 1-0 scrappy or below goal at the end. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I think it's going to be such a tight game. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a draw. I really wouldn't. And that's not being negative. I wouldn't. I'm going to predict
I agree.
Win,
I agree. It could be a horrible 1-1 and just be like, what a missed opportunity.
You know what? It could be, but I will straight after the game. I'll be disappointed. But I will also think like,
please let all the others lose.
This is what. This part of the season, this is what happens though. Like, it's never going to be easy. If we draw to Leeds but beat Wolves, I'm going back on what I said earlier. But then
no, you need 6 points. You're
probably still third. Like that's the madness of it. And then of course it's playing Chelsea, Man United, as I said earlier. Them having the chance to go above you, that's the difficulty. But yeah, my prediction with my heart is 2-1 Villa.
Yeah, it's going to be tight, and I can't see there being 5 goals, so I'm going to have to go 2-1 as well. I can't see it being 3-1 or 3-2. So
I can't see it being a great game either. And that doesn't matter as long as we win the match.
Just win, yeah.
Yeah, just win. Pretty simple, isn't it? Come on, Villa. Just win again.
All right, that'll do for this episode of the Claret Blue podcast. John, thanks for your time. As always, thank you for watching along or listening. If you want to get involved with Wolves' fan zone next week, your opinions, please. That's what we want to hear. We want to see how you feel about the game.
You can make it controversial as well, because you don't have to put your name or your address or anything. It's literally just...
Yeah. So what you want. It is anonymous, yeah. If you think we're going to get blasted by Wolves sound, we'll talk about it. We might think the same. Right, that'll do. Cheers, everyone. We'll catch you Saturday evening for the post-match show. See you then. Bye-bye.